Hello and welcome to NJ Thrives Small Business Webinars. Today is Tuesday, May 21st, and you are attending one of our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. My name is Uzma Sheikh. I'm a consultant here at NJSBDC, which stands for New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. We are a network and a statewide program powered by the SBA, Small Business Administration, and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with three main things. And those things are no cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one, and exclusive small business resources. On the slide over here, you can see that there's a map of New Jersey with all the 21 counties. And in some counties, there are small SBDC logos, and that's where our 11 regional centers are located. If you are ever interested in where those locations are, go to njsbdc.com, our website, and check out our regional centers where sometimes we have in-person workshops and appointments. All right, so if you can hear me and see me okay, put a 1 in the chat, and also feel free to let us know where you're from, what you do, how you heard about NJSBDC, anything you'd like to share, and feel free to network in the chat. So the webinar that you're attending right now is part of our How to Register Your Business with NJSBDC support. We started this webinar series back in November, and we've been doing it ever since. And this is to help New Jersey's aspiring entrepreneurs start, grow, and thrive. Agenda. We have a couple of headlines that I'd like to share with you. These are just some things that are happening in the small business community and that is relevant to the small business community, small business owners, anything from press releases to news articles to events. Then we have our presentation from our speaker and Q&A session right after. All right, so I see your responses coming in. One, thank you for the ones. Thank you for letting me know. All right, someone from New York, Cece, and then Karen. All right, Monmouth County, thank you. All right, let's get to the headlines. So these are the headlines of the week. This is what's happening or will be happening. I will put and share all of these headlines, the links in the chat as soon as I am done sharing my screen. All right, and before I forget, let me just put some of our links in the chat. All right, so first is a press release from NJEDA, New Jersey Economic Development Authority. This is a great resource for all small business owners. So definitely keep this in mind. You need to know this website, njeda.gov. So this was released last week, May 16th. NJEDA expands the activation, revitalization, and transformation program to 31 municipalities across New Jersey. This is a $15 million program that will support public space and art projects along commercial corridors. All right, let's see, what are some things that pop out? And of course, this is the art program as mentioned. NJEDA grants aimed to making new and impactful investments are being provided for projects located in 31 corridors spanning 12 counties across the state. And if you want to see which they are, there is a link here that you would click. This is piloted in Newark and Atlantic City. Let's see, what else? Creative Force for Change and supporting nonprofit organizations focused on creating placemaking projects, art installments. They will range from $100,000 to $500,000. And these are for nonprofits. Eligible to apply, you have to go to the requirements. There are, I believe, information sessions right here. The first virtual session will be held on Tuesday, June 18th at 11 a.m. And click here to register. All right, this link will be shared. Second one is also from NJEDA. The board approves Brownfield Development Award to support remediation of Bergen County manufacturing site. Approved $350,000 in tax credits under the BREE program to support a long dormant manufacturing site in Elmwood Park, excuse me. Let's see. All right, yeah, feel free to read that. There are no links to share from there. Third is from events.trade.gov, so International Trade Administration and U.S. Commercial Service, Department of Commerce. Business Opportunities in the Caribbean Region webinar series happening from May 22nd, that is tomorrow, to September 18th. All of this will be virtual, 11 a.m. on 22nd, on the 19th, 3 p.m. All right, so there is a time difference, I believe, so definitely keep that in mind. This is a multi-part webinar series featuring USG and private sector experts who will present on business opportunities in 7 markets in the Caribbean region. Topics of interest to both new and seasoned export professionals, so definitely for people who are exporting professionals. This webinar will run from May to September, and it lists which sessions and webinar schedules. There is a cost, $210 for the entire series and $30 for each webinar. And yeah, these are the reasons that you should do business, things like that. Fourth and last is from Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber, New Jersey Conference for Women 2024, Friday, October 11th, 2024. Still far out, but this is released. So promotions are running and registration is open. So for special promotion from June 15th, ticket price. So largest one day of gathering professional women in our state, registration is open. Sponsors, let's see. When you purchase your ticket before June 15th, you will get a day of learning inspiration, including sessions, breakouts, breakfast, luncheon, and then tickets will be different after. All right, and these are the sponsors. Pretty cool stuff happening. I will share those links in the chat. Things to keep in mind, some housekeeping rules. So if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A box that is right next to the chat box. If you'd like to receive the slides from our speaker, complete our brief survey. It is a Google Forms. You complete it, you provide your feedback, and then you receive the link after you press submit. And this webinar is being recorded. Link will be shared in the chat on where it will be available. If you had to leave in the middle before Q&A, anything like that, it will also be available on our YouTube channel. All right, so we have our startup consultant, Vanessa Schwartz, joining us for session 26, how to register your business in New Jersey, of course. Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for doing this, and the stage is yours. I will stop sharing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much, Uzma. I'm going to share my screen, and thank you again for all that important information. Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Vanessa Schwartz, and I'm here to say that if you're someone who wants to either take your hobby to the next level, or you're interested in pursuing a side hustle, or you're a professional in your own space and you feel that the time is right to venture into entrepreneurship, you have come to the right place. We are the right people to help you. And it's just wonderful that you're making the time to educate yourself on the process, the costs, the legal requirements, basically probably what you would consider all the boring things that go along with the excitement of starting a new business and doing what you love. There is the side of it of understanding the business end, and this is what we're here for, to help small businesses like yourself to thrive and succeed, and again, to provide mentorship for you. So we're going to just go into a little bit today about the different business structures that are available to you as business owners. The formation and registration process, really kind of emphasizing and making sure that it's understood that it is a two-step process in New Jersey. You form your business and then you register your business. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then there's the idea of understanding the state regulations, what additional regulations there might be or licenses required in New Jersey to do what it is that you're looking to do. We'll touch a little bit on taxes. And, part of starting a business is understanding your cash flows, understanding your financing. That is a huge piece of what we do at the Small Business Development Center, is assist with the business planning. And that includes the financial piece. How much money do you have? How much money do you need to start the business? Do you need outside financing? Can we assist you with loan preparation? Can we guide you toward some grants possibly? So we'll talk a little bit about that and what other resources might be available to you. We also aren't just about new business starts. We also help establish businesses in their quest to grow and seek opportunities, whether it be through contracting or just marketing. So basically, anything you can possibly think of, we are here to help. And if we don't know the answer, we always try to point you in the right direction and find the resources for you. So in terms of business structure, you have some choices. The most simple business structure is your sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is you, the person, deciding to conduct business on behalf of yourself. It's not a business entity so much as it is just you earning income for yourself and making sure that the state is aware that you are doing this for tax purposes. With the sole proprietorship, you can establish a trade name. It's called establishing a trade name. Some people think of it as a DBA, doing business as, but in New Jersey, when you're looking online and trying to find how to get a trade name, that's what they call it. And it's done at the county clerk's office. So you can go on to any of your municipal sites for your respective county and look up business, and then it says establish a trade name. And usually it's about $50, $60 to do so. It requires some notary involvement, and you are basically required to have that name, if you want to go by something other than who you are, be unique within the county. So it's relatively inexpensive. For your tax ID, when you go to register your sole proprietorship, you may use a social security number. You don't have to, though. If you wish or if you prefer, you can apply for a EIN. That stands for Employer Identification Number. It's done through the IRS, and it is absolutely free. It does not cost anything to get an EIN. Basically, you apply right online, and you say, I'd like an EIN because I have a sole proprietorship. And what's nice about that is that you don't have to then toss around your social security number every time someone asks you for your tax ID. You can apply and use the EIN to represent the business for tax purposes, but is not required. You are also permitted to use your personal bank account to transact business. It's perfectly acceptable. You don't need a separate business bank account. And for tax purposes, very simple tax filing. A sole proprietor would use the Schedule C attachment to the personal income tax return, which will reflect any sales and the expenses and ultimately your net income from this business, which would pass through to your 1040 or whatever tax forms you're using to file. Now, the downside to the sole proprietorship is that there's really there is no legal separation between the assets of the owner and the business. So you are opening yourself to all sorts of risk if you're doing something as a sole proprietorship that is risky. I don't think I would want to be cutting down trees and using heavy machinery as a sole proprietor. There's certain industries that would not, and business lines that would not lend itself to being a sole proprietor, because if anything were to happen and you were to be sued, you are exposing yourself, your personal assets, your home, to any sort of litigation and lawsuit and claiming of assets. So the solution to that, when you're a small business, the next level up in terms of structure is called the limited liability company, the LLC. Now we're getting into what's known as actual business entities. We are now separate from ourselves. Business entity sits beside you. It is not you, the person. There's a separation. That's what provides the liability protection. And in the LLC, it is limited liability, but it does check the boxes for a lot of the issues that you might find having a sole proprietorship. What's nice about the LLC is that it is very flexible. It is relatively inexpensive, and you are given that protection. Now, the formation for the LLC, now that costs $125, so a little bit more than what you would pay for a trade name, but your trade name is now your legal business name. You are basically going to be applying for a legal business name, legal business entity, and it is all done online through the New Jersey portal. And 125, your name will be unique in the state, not just the county, but the state. So you do get a unique name within the state. And let's see, in this case, you would get an EIN. You would make sure you would apply for the tax identification number that would be in the name of it would match the legal business name of the LLC. And you are required to have a separate business bank account. Oops. So in this case, whereas you were allowed to have a personal bank account to transact your business, LLC, now you're a separate business entity, you must open a separate business bank account using your certificate of formation of the LLC legal formation with the matching letter from the IRS with your tax ID. Now, the taxation method for an LLC is interesting. LLCs are allowed to choose how they wish to be taxed. So if you are a single member, meaning one person, member means owner in LLC terminology. So when you see the word member, around in your research, it means owner. If you're a single member, you are allowed to choose the sole proprietor taxation method. We discussed that. That's the Schedule C. It's very simple. You don't have to have a separate tax return. If you are a multi-member LLC, usually you would default to what is known as the Form 1065. That is a tax return method that is used by partnerships when there's more than one person filing. It doesn't mean you're a partnership. That's a whole other legal setup and structure. It means you're a multi-member LLC that has chosen to be taxed as a partnership. Now, both the single member as well as the multi-member, they have a choice as well to be taxed as a corporation if they choose. Now, that is a Form 1120. That is a corporate tax filing. There are reasons, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but we won't get into a ton of detail. There are reasons why LLCs may wish to be taxed as a corporation, but just know you have a choice. And, so the next level up is our corporation. Corporations, you think of the big guys, the big names, basically those are the big C Corps. They are, by definition, required to establish bylaws, create a board of directors. There are requirements to hold shareholder meetings, and the corporation as well must file a separate tax return for the company. It is basically a living, breathing being in that respect, is that it has its own tax return and it has its own corporate tax rate. So at the end of the day, the corporation will report their income and will be assigned a corporate tax rate onto that income. And then whatever's left over in terms of profit is then distributed to the owners, at which time the owners will pay taxes on their dividends. So as a small business, it's often considered a detriment in that you are going to open a corporation just to suffer from double taxation. You may have heard that get passed around. What does it mean to be have double taxation? And that's what it means. You're taxed twice. So the benefits of a corporation is that it is the most secure in terms of your liability protection. There are reasons why small businesses may wish to incorporate. Usually it has something to do with their liability requirements, protection. Some vendors only wish to do business with corporations because of structure, because of the protection. It's also in terms of issuing equity, issuing shares, bringing more people involved, to get involved, to be owners of the business. You may want to incorporate. But the solution for that is that the corporation does have an opportunity to bypass the double taxation by applying for the S Corp tax designation, which we will talk a little bit about. Now, just so you know, once again, formation and registration are two separate processes. So whether you're a sole prop, you're a limited liability company, or you're a corporation, once you legally set your business up in that format, you are required to go to the NJ registration page and register that business structure, business entity, if you're an LLC or corporation, with the Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services. And that is for tax purposes. You are not allowed to transact business in the state without that registration. So it is not sufficient just to form your LLC and start working. You must register the business. Okay, so I'm just going to, one slide here, just basically dedicated to the S Corp. The S Corp is not a legal business entity so much as it is a tax designation. So when people say, oh, I'm an S Corp, I'm an S Corp, I'm an S Corp, they are either a corporation that has filed subchapter S under the IRS code to receive the S Corp tax designation, or they are a limited liability company that has chosen to be taxed as a corporation and then filed for the subchapter S tax designation. So the S Corp option for corporations makes sense. You avoid the double taxation. It takes away the corporate tax rate. Income is then passed through straight to the shareholders. And it makes the most sense when you're a small business to do this. There are some caveats. You have to be under 100 shareholders. You can only have common stock and as part of your business setup. But it is very, very easy to do. It is a form that you would file and you would set yourself up. And that would be something that you could do yourself, or you can work with your accountant to set up. Now, LLCs, the thing to remember about the LLC is when you're an owner of the LLC, that is exactly what you are. You're the owner. You're not an employee of your company. You are basically the person who pays him, her, or herself from the profits. That's how you pay yourself. It's called an owner's draw. So there are self-employment taxes that are involved when you're an LLC. Self-employment taxes can be hefty. It's probably not an issue until you make a certain amount of money, and it's debatable how much money that is when it becomes appropriate to rethink your tax strategy. Something you would want to discuss with your accountant. But there is a certain level of income where you are going to be disadvantaged if you are taxed using that Schedule C or that 1065 if you are a multi-member. And that is when you want to consider possibly choosing to be taxed as a corporation. When you're taxed as a corporation, you are now allowed to put yourself on the payroll, and you are both the employer and the employee in this respect. And you will have withholdings, a W-2, just as if you were working for an outside company. And that process changes the income statement in that it'll lower your overall net income, and you won't be subject to self-employment taxes. So you basically can run the tax numbers side by side. What would my tax burden be if I was a Schedule C filer? What would my tax burden be if I was a corporate filer? And if you're better off at that point choosing and changing, because you can always change to the corporate S Corp option as an LLC, you can do so. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so now we're going to focus primarily on the LLC. We want you to know that we are here to do it with you. You don't have to hire somebody. It is quite expensive to hire somebody to set up an LLC. The outside resources that promote their services, yes, they provide a service. But you know, there are in certain circumstances when you're talking about incorporating and establishing bylaws and figuring out, you know, your board of directors and all your other legal requirements. When it gets more complicated and it's something that you just feel like, hey, let me hire someone, we understand that. And they do provide service, but the limited liability company is a fairly simple, and I'm not going to say that it's easy because, you know, anything with the government, when you're online, you never know what the heck to click because you don't want to make a mistake. So we're kind of that solution. We don't charge for our services, but while you're setting up your LLC online, we will tell you each step of the way, if you have any questions, how to answer it. And as we're doing that, we are educating you about the requirements, what the state is looking for, what that definition means. So we feel that is in your best interest in really knowing your business and understanding your business, that you set it up, we guide you, and now you understand where to go, what you need, less of a chance of being scammed because you'll get bombarded with all sorts of mail once you're a company and they'll be trying to sell you things. And you'll know that you can log into the NJ portal and take care of all your business needs there. And so we will help you with all of that. And it's just a matter of making an appointment, having a conversation with us, and then setting up a day or time where we could talk you through it over the phone. It takes about an hour. We get the LLC, we do the certificate of formation, that's the legal formation. That's where you'll pay the $125. We'll go to the IRS, we'll get your tax ID number, and then we will help you register the business. All done and complete and ready to go within an hour. Okay, so this is, again, I have to say it again, we can never forget to register the business. When we're done forming, we need to register. The reason why I keep the slide up to say it again is that some of you on this call may have already formed your LLC. You may have hired somebody. Fine, you know, it is what it is. You got your LLC done. You have your tax ID. Beware. These third-party services do not register the business for you. I don't even know that they remind you to. I'm told that it's somewhere in the paperwork that if you want to continue with registration, to contact them for some additional fee. It does not cost anything to register the business. You go on to NJ Reg and you go through the process. That's part of what we'll help you do. So if you have already formed and you don't know if you are registered, contact us and we can look that up with you and show you where you can look that up and we can get you registered. Also, just keep in mind that there is a new requirement for all LLCs that we all file this beneficial ownership information report. If you have formed pre-January 1, 2024, you have until the end of this year to file this requirement. If you're forming your LLC or creating your LLC this year, once you have registered, they're giving you 90 days to go online. And that's the site right there. I'm actually going to click on it so you can see what that looks like. And you'll get the slides. You'll be able to have access to everything. But you can see here, it's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, beneficial ownership information. Let's see. How do I file? Well, it's right online right here. And we can walk you through this. It's pretty straightforward over here. let's see, need to file, yes, get started. And so you could see here, the best way to do it is file online, prepare and submit. And you go on, and basically they just want to know who you are. Now, this is new as of this year. The federal government wants to know who's who and wants to know who owns what. So it's a bit controversial, but it's the law. So until it changes, this is what LLCs are now required to do. Okay, so when you go to form your LLC, you'll need a unique business name in New Jersey. I'm going to click on the link so you can see what that looks like. And this is where you'll have business name availability. You can search your name. Sample business is available. So if I want to be Sample Business LLC, I'm all set. Okay. Now, the other thing we need to do is we go to the IRS. We get the EIN. Again, that is free. This does not cost anything. Don't get caught in on some website that look like you were at the IRS and then you're not. And then at the end, they are prompting you for $200 to get your EIN. That is wrong. Does not cost anything to get an EIN. Let's see, you'll need some industry codes, which we can help you figure out. They'll give you a list. You'll be able to sort through and see which codes best describe the type of business that you're looking to do. You'll need a registered agent. You are allowed to be your own registered agent. You don't have to hire a registered agent. New Jersey allows you to list yourself and your address for the registered agent requirement. The registered agent is the liaison between the state and the business owner. Basically, if at any given point, the state has to reach you, they have to serve you legal papers, they have to inform you of something, they have to have an agent on record of where they can either mail or deliver paperwork. So that's why that it is required to have a registered agent. You'll need an operating agreement. If you are more than one person in this LLC, you have to put together some kind of a written document. It does not have to be notarized. It does not have to be done by a lawyer. However, as all things with legal ramifications, doesn't hurt to consult an attorney if you are dealing with complicated financial structure, multiple people, multiple roles, positions. Because what the operating agreement does, it establishes how much money everybody's going to be contributing and how much the profits are going to be, how the profits will be distributed. And if the LLC were to dissolve tomorrow, who gets what? How are the assets going to be distributed? How are we going to dissolve this business entity? So the operating agreement is very important. That is required if you're more than one owner. Okay, well, credit card or debit card for your processing fee for the state filing, and the names, addresses, social security numbers, and ownership percentages of all the members. That is going to be required information once we get to the registration part of the process. We'll need to know how you wish to be taxed. This is where we go back to our decision-making on which tax process or which tax filing we're going to use as LLC owners. You need to know if the sale of your goods or services are subject to New Jersey state sales tax. Okay, so sales tax is like you go into a Walgreens, you buy a pack of gum, it's whatever the cost it is plus tax. You, as the business owner, the retailer, the provider of services, are now in a position to charge sales tax if your product or if your service is subject to state sales tax. So there's a booklet that we provide you. It's actually later on in this presentation. There'll be a link to it that goes through everything that you can think of. It's produced and published by the Division of Taxation in New Jersey of what is subject to sales tax and what isn't. If you are somebody who has to collect sales tax, it will be your responsibility to collect the sales tax from your consumer, hold it, and at the end of the quarter, remit it to the Division of Taxation. It's all done online. It's pretty simple, but that is something that we can guide you on, show you where to go, tell you what it all means, even run through your first filing if you want, over the phone. So that's something to be aware of. Also, we will make sure you understand what additional registrations, certifications are required to operate your business in New Jersey. Some have nothing in addition. Some businesses do require additional registration and licensing. General contractors have to have a general contractor registration. Home health aides need to be licensed. Cosmetologists, beauticians, there's licensing involved. Food safety, handling, there are requirements for handling food. So these are all the types of things that you should be aware of when you're forming your business. And you'll need to identify a bank where you'd like to do your business banking. You can check where you do your personal banking, see if they can offer you some kind of a deal, perhaps, to open up a no-fee business checking account, or you can explore other options. But the business bank account is something that, if at all possible, try to avoid paying monthly fees. That's the last thing you need as a small business owner, to be dinged every month from your business bank account, but there are ways to avoid them. So check with some of the local branches, check to see maybe there's a minimum amount of money you may need to keep in the account. Maybe, for example, if you have a personal checking account with the bank, they'll let you have the free business bank account. So things to keep in mind. Here are a bunch of links that we talked about. So when you get the slides, you'll be able to peruse through these links. This goes through the licenses and registrations that are required. This talks about your sales tax requirements. There are income tax requirements. We won't get too much into that, but remember, you're self-employed now, and the government does not wait until April 15th to receive your 12 months of income taxes. As self-employed individuals, once you start transacting and earning income, you will want to set up some form of a quarterly, monthly, just depending on your situation, estimated income tax payment, so you can keep up to date with your payments. At the end of the year, if you may have overpaid, just like anything else, you'll get money back. If you have underpaid, you will owe. You will get penalized if you hold out and not pay your income taxes until April 15th as a business owner. And if you have questions about hiring employees, we have some resources. We can have some conversations, whether you want to start a payroll or whether you want to do independent contractors. That can be a little bit of a gray area. What's an employee, what's not an employee, what constitutes an independent contractor versus what constitutes somebody who works for me directly. So we can have conversations about all of that. And insurance is always a subject. We always say, talk to an insurance agent, let them sell you what they want to sell you, but educate yourself, because at least you're getting some kind of education and you can compare and then decide what works best for you. So remember, we said funding and cash management is a big part of starting a business, maintaining a business, operating a business. We're here for that. Startup cost analysis, we can run through with you, income projections, personal budget considerations. If you need outside financing, where do we go? We work with SBA lenders, Small Business Administration lenders, all the time. We can introduce you, prepare you to have that conversation. And we're here to basically teach financial literacy. We're not accountants. I'm not an accountant. I mean, I have taken some accounting in my education, but many of you are starting a business. You may not have ever taken an accounting class, so we can give you some there are webinars, there are other resources. Learn a little bit about your income statement. Learn a little bit about how to manage a balance sheet. Because at the end of the day, if you don't understand certain financial terms and concepts, you run the risk of losing money. And we're all in business to make money. And it's just something to keep in mind, that you don't have to, beat yourself up. Certainly you can always hire people to do this for you, but it's good as business owners to have some general understanding, so you are in control of your finances and understand that basically at the end of the day, you're taking in more than you're spending. And that's where bookkeeping comes into play. Even if you have a bookkeeper or you have someone doing your QuickBooks, which can certainly make sense, don't let it all be Greek to you. Have some general understanding of it, because at the end of the day, it'll serve you, and it'll be in your best interest to be knowledgeable about the finances in your business. We'll always tell you when you need outside resources and services. Some things are left to the professionals, accountants, lawyers, insurance agents, lenders. We do have people who are on staff who are counselors who are more geared toward the marketing, social media aspect of running a business, and so we can always assign you, hopefully find that person, and maybe you can have a consultation with them if you just want some basic ideas of where to go. And at the end of the day, we're here to be business mentors and assist in any way possible. So opportunities and growth with the NJSBDC, we can get your New Jersey state certifications done with you. If you're interested in government contracting or procurement, we can help you get your small business enterprise certification, and that goes along with woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran, disabled veteran, and LGBTQ plus certifications for business owners. That's something that could be useful. And we can talk more about that in conversations when you have counseling. And the NJEDA is also a tremendous resource. We have people on staff that can help with some of the applications that are out there right now for low interest loans and grants if they apply to you. And our webinars, just like the one today, are filled with all different subjects and topics. If you go to our library at NJSBDC and go back and look at some of the previous events that have taken place, there could be some recordings that might be of interest to you to help you. And that is, I think, it. So here is some information on how to get counseling. If you are not in business and you have not done anything yet, you can kind of jump to the new business gurus, startup counselors right away by scanning the QR code right here, or when you get a copy of the slides, this is the link, and you can register for counseling at that location. If you're already in business and you would just like to make an appointment, not just, but you're ready to speak to a small business counselor in your homes, we have 11 centers. So depending on where you live, you'll get assigned to a counselor near your location of business. You can scan this QR code and you would use this link. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions.
All right, thank you so much, Vanessa. We do have one question so far in the Q&A box, so I am just going to take 1 minute right now to just for a couple of reminders, and in the meantime, please share your questions in the Q&A box. That is right next to the chat box. Just a couple of reminders. I just put 2 links in the chat, and those are for the first ones. If you would like access to the slides that Vanessa just presented, please click on that link and complete the brief survey that we have, and you'll as soon as you press submit, you'll receive the link to the slides. Second thing, this webinar is being recorded. If you'd like to rewatch some part, or you have to leave in the middle, then definitely go and give this a second watch on our YouTube channel or our website, that is the smallbusinesshelp.com/NJ Thrives. All right, so let's get to the Q&A sessions. We'll go to them in the order that we're receiving them. First question is from Elizabeth, and the question is, can you change to 1065 later if you bring a partner on, say, maybe 2 years later?
Yes, absolutely. So if you were to then at some point decide to go from a single member to a multi-member, that what's required for that is you would amend your certificate of formation, your articles of formation, add the member, create an operating agreement, and then for tax purposes, you would switch to one of your choices would be to switch to the Form 1065.
Yep. Next question is from Victoria. Victoria says, my research for contracting for goods and services for NJ agencies only requires a New Jersey business registration. Am I missing something?
Well, yes, I mean, if you're on the uniform certification website, which is through the NJ portal, to get any of those certifications, one of the requirements is to upload your certificate of formation, but or your articles of incorporation. But if you have a business registration, then you're registering something, so you must have a certificate of formation somewhere, as well as a so I think that answers your question. You definitely have to upload the if you're an LLC, you have to upload the certificate of formation, or if you're a corporation, your articles of incorporation. That's for the that's just strictly for the New Jersey state certification program.
Got it. Next question from Karen. Can you please share more about grants and low interest loans?
Yeah, so with grants, so when you're a small business in New Jersey and you're operating, at any given time, there could be a grant that applies to you. And how you stay on top of that is knowing where to keep your, eyes peeled for updates. For example, the NJEDA, get on their mailing list, check that website periodically. They're always coming up with new ideas for grants at any given time. As money is allocated from the state to the agency, they put together a program, they put together an application. It may or may not apply to you depending on what it is, but if it does, apply. The UCEDC, they're another great New Jersey source. They're not only do they provide SBA lending and assistance on government contracting, but from time to time, they have grants available. They will apply for grants themselves, get the money, and then put together their own program and applications for grants. So it's a search. It's an exercise in constantly being aware and searching and knowing where to look. Grants.gov is the federal website for all things grants. You can do keyword searches at any given time, and you can look up any number of grant opportunities just based on manipulating through the website through keywords and location. There are also private grants. There are certain companies that, and if you make an appointment, we can, maybe there's a list that I kind of keep going, but you Google it and I'm trying to think off the top of my head, the name. I'm sorry, I don't want to spend too much time because now I'm going to forget the name, but, and in addition to private grants, there's also municipal grants. So if you look within your own municipality, within your own township to see if there's anything going on there for local businesses. Now, If you're a startup, this is not going to be helpful because grants are not typically available for pure startups. Unless you're doing some kind of technology or medical research where there is a specific demand for businesses to come into business to do this work, where you might be able to find some sort of a grant to get certain things going. There are some examples of that kind of a grant where you really get the money from the get-go because you're starting up, because they're looking for people to do the research or to do the engineering or whatnot. But your typical startup, just to get, some working capital, usually that falls under low interest loans, maybe SBA loans, and we can help you with that. SBA loans are backed by the federal government. They're meant for small businesses. They are available for startups. We help you figure out maybe how much you need, how to put the plan together, how to speak to the lender, and see if that's a possibility as well. So that's basically my little speech on grants. I mean, if you have further questions about it, happy to talk about it.
All right, next question is from Shelly. Shelly asks, how much does it cost to change an LLC formation error?
A formation what?
Error.
Well, I'll answer that by saying to amend your certificate of formation, they will charge you $100. If you just want to change your registered agent, that costs $25. I would say if you had like a little spelling error on something that you just want changed, I would always say maybe call the state. There's a 609 number. If you go to Department of State and they'll, there's a number for you of questions, and see if there's a way that you could avoid amending the entire certificate of formation and paying $100 if it's something as minute as a letter change. But it does cost $100 to amend the actual certificate of formation.
Got it. Next question is from Laura. Laura asks, do your mentors help with suggestions for business tax preparers, accountants, etc.?
Not really. We don't tend to give personal private business recommendations. We're required to give you at least 3 options when we're giving referrals for private business. What I do when I counsel is, because I mean, I haven't used these services, so I can't speak from my own advice and from my own knowledge that this person was a great accountant, this person was a great tax preparer. So what I do normally is, if I can't give maybe 3 references, I would guide you in how to search and tell you, I'm not recommending necessarily these places because I don't know them. They could be crooks for all I know. But I teach you how to look, what keywords, what kind of things to be looking for, and what type of place that might be best suited toward a business like yours. So another thing I always do is I say, check with your Chamber of Commerce, check with your, your peers within your community, other small businesses. Go on Facebook, go to your community Facebook group and say, hey, has anybody used a tax preparer for a small business? And that way you can get really some good intel and real personal recommendations and references of people who you may want to hire for your business.
Thank you. Next question from Anonymous. Who can help with completing government contract proposals?
So we don't sit there with you and fill out contract proposals, but this is what we do. Any piece of that, so let's just say there's a section on that says, tell me about your business. Yeah, we'll help you write that. We won't write it for you, but we will guide you through the written piece and edit it and provide counsel and give you an outline and tell you what, should be in there. So we could work with you on that. That's how you have to use us. I've helped with government contract applications in the past when the business needed to come up with a pricing strategy. So I did a whole consultation with this business owner on pricing. And then she educated herself and asked questions, and we worked out a couple scenarios. And then she went and applied that knowledge onto her contract application. So we're here to help, tell us what you need. But we're not we're not going to sit and do it for you. And we're not responsible for filling out or doing any kind of hands-on contract work. There are private services that do that. There are grant writers. There are people out there that you could hire. It's just a matter of doing a Google search for that.
Got it. Next question is from Anonymous. They say, I live in New Jersey and my co-founder lives in the Caribbean. Our platform primarily serves women in the Caribbean. She will be moving to Texas soon, but I will be moving abroad next year. Would it still be wise to register our business in New Jersey? Interesting. That sounds like it will require an appointment.
I was just going to say, you may want to make an appointment because I'm not going to be able to counsel like that right now in a Q&A session. However, I'll just address the topic of registration is that if you don't live in New Jersey and you're not working in New Jersey and you're not transacting business in New Jersey, I don't see any scenario that would make sense to necessarily create a business here. But, someone out there might say, you're wrong, maybe. Again, that would require a personal conversation.
Yeah, there may be nuances that we could miss in this.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep. All right. Next and last question from Nicolette. Does mentorship help with how to use purchase orders for procurement companies?
Well, you make an appointment, you have your application there, you don't know quite how to answer questions. I mean, yes, we can assist you in any way that we can. If that's your struggle and you don't know how to answer questions and you're not sure what they mean or how, then we're business counselors. We'll guide you as best as we can. What we won't do is we won't take the paperwork and do it for you or be responsible in any way for the proposal, if that makes sense.
Yep. You just have to let us know what you need. All right, so that concludes, right as I was about to say that, we'll take this one last question and then we'll wrap it up. Mirna asks, I want to be a vendor in a parish festival. Do I have to register my business and get a permit to sell food?
Well, okay, forget the food for a second. I'm just going to talk about the vendor and the parish festival. Typically, and I don't know what they're asking of you, usually street fairs, when there's an organizer, are going to require that all the vendors provide their business registration in order to participate. So that's, now I don't know if that's the case in your situation, but normally when you see fairs and booths and all those people paid a certain amount of money to be there that day and provided the organizer with a tax ID or a not a certificate, a tax ID or a business registration so that they can be there. That's my understanding. Permit for selling food I mean, if you're already in business selling food, then you should have all that lined up in terms of food safety and whatnot. So if you have any specific questions or, ask whoever is organizing it what they need and you don't understand, make an appointment and we'll see if we can help you.
All right, and that concludes our Q&A session. Let me share my screen and then we can go into a couple last things. But Vanessa, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And that's what we have from Vanessa. I will just show our website, NJSBDC.com, and what we have on our website so our audience can understand. So as you all know, as I mentioned in my introduction, our services at no cost, counseling services at no cost, events and workshops that happen in person and online vary. So if you were to go to our website, njsbdc.com, and you go to events, well, before even going to that, there is a toolkit that I would recommend that people go to. So whether it's, the loans or the grants or things like that that Vanessa mentioned, we won't have all of it here, but we have most of the federal business resources, state resources, local resources listed out. So at least you're not lost on, hey, which organization could I reach out to, things like that. And then you can do your own research. But open up all these little menus and you can find out, all the business resources that are available to you as a small business owner. Going back to events, you go to events, NJ Thrives webinars. This is where we store all our webinars. So literally whether it's 2 webinars per week or 1 Tuesdays and Thursdays or just Thursdays, they are all stored here as well as our YouTube library. And you should definitely sign up for our newsletter if you haven't. And whether it's procurement and certifications or whether it's NJEDA's programs and offerings that they have, whether it's eco-friendly practices for small businesses, whether it's credit counseling and credit management, you'll find all sorts of things on this page here. So just keep looking and you'll find most of the information there. Next page that you should go to is this one, all statewide events. And this is where, if you remember the map, this is where all the regional centers list all our events and workshops that are happening throughout the state. If you will notice, there is a location provided if the event or workshop is in person, and if it is an online, it will tell you it's online. Most of them are free, but if it requires a fee, then it'll tell you that there as well. One thing to also know, and I want to mention, is that we provide counseling in Spanish. So if you need to speak to someone who is Spanish speaking consultant, just let us know. And we also provide events and workshops in Spanish. So just keep an eye out for those. And yeah, that's pretty much it from our website. Definitely take out 5 minutes of your time maybe and just look through our website and see what you can find helpful. And this is our upcoming webinar. So on this Thursday, May 23rd, how to prepare your business for maximum funding potential with a special guest from Provident Bank. We will have Ryan Silvestri presenting, who is one of our capital team consultants and lead, and he will be there with someone from Provident Bank. So definitely attend if this is something that is of interest to you. Happening at the same time, 12 to 1 or 1:30 p.m. depending. And this is, for your business's financial success on preparation for funding. All right, so we are here to support you. We've helped 15,000 plus small businesses grow in the past 45 plus years. So if you'd like to talk to us, go to njsbdc.com/startup. We hope to see you at some of our other webinars. And that is it from us. Thank you so much for attending. We appreciate your support. Take care and see you on Thursday. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.